like to state your name, that would be nice.
Yes, my name is Rene, Corella or Corella, however you prefer to pronounce it.
Life experiences have formed who you are today.
Okay, so I remember, it's a very remote memory, but I remember like just silhouettes of gigantic cacti and silhouettes of people in a forest of these plants, right? And I think that impacted my life for the rest of it so far, because I love the desert and I love cacti and succulents. So it's an experience that I've always cherished.
You take that memory into adulthood.
I became involved with, just naturally, with city activities or certain groups or little nonprofit organizations and stuff like that, just because I like knowing what's going on, even if I don't necessarily work for the city of Phoenix or something like that. That's on one side natural inclination to do it, on the other side related to design and architecture work. Their main core values would be sincerity and integrity, especially with starting with myself, right? I don't, in a way that translates into really, really trusting your gut and your instincts. In summary, intuition. I feel like that comes before thought. Hack it, So trusting intuition is like the ultimate form of truth, even if it doesn't come 100% deciphered. So a core value is never violate that, and trust your gut, follow it before you do the opposite, which is kind of like what we are trained to do sometimes, like no, cut. And I love that, connecting it back to my original key experiences with the cacti, right? I think that's why our city is great, and to kind of top it off is the fact that we have so much diversity here. Not only the Hispanic influence being so close to Mexico, but also people from everywhere. It's very international. My main work is related to historic preservation when it comes to architectural work. Other projects are more sculptural, and I'm involved with designing and producing all the parts that fabricators end up putting together to build the sculptures and the structures out of stainless steel. And education. I've been involved with education for a while now, both in Mexico and here. So ASU, teaching in architecture. That's kind of a project because you're forming people and helping them gain skills and build their knowledge. Being involved with the city of Phoenix and small nonprofit organizations that do grassroots work to consult with communities for projects that the city is going to build. And you get involved with different neighborhoods and communities and different associations to get their opinion and kind of represent their voice, relaying the information back to project engineers and architects to make sure that their opinion is reflected through the projects.
What kind of creators have influenced you?
Nice. A lot of the creators have simply been students, natural disposition to like learn from them as opposed to I'm just going to be your coach, right? Other bigger influences also my family, my mother, for example, was always an educator, very creative person, really nice sense of humor, and great cook. And love cooking, and I learned it from her. So she's been a tremendous influence, also in terms of how you go through life and are resilient and really, fight all these battles. And you always win because you don't give up. And I ended up with a husky who is energetic, athletic, has a mind of his own. So you kind of get inspired by that, and then it pushes you to also be athletic and have your own instincts. Bosses, my friends that I work out with and stuff like that, but those came later, so I'm going through like
your communities.
Yeah, the community is where it starts. Okay. That's a great question because the answer could be very biased for a lot of people. They might just do this because it worked for me, right? And I always try to watch that. remember that before you went through school and went through the programming that we all go through in life, right? With education and our families and everything, you are still a virtuous individual, just naturally, right? And that there were things that you were doing before you went to school that kept you engaged with something, kept your mind going, got you inspired, or gave you a sense of awe, right? So something I feel we all should do is return to that. Before you were attached to the idea of a label, a title, right? A position or occupation. I highly recommend that you don't forget who you are, not what title you have, because your work is not your worth, kind of thing, right? So that would be the biggest quote-unquote suggestion I could give. Return to your essence.
So it's like a Frankenstein building.
Yeah, guard it with your life.
Thank you.